Nigeria is a country which is richly blessed with not just natural resources, but tremendous human resources. We have them in different strata of the society and in various chosen fields of endeavor. We recognize this and we celebrate those individuals who have made their mark in their chosen fields of endeavor as we welcome you to Executive Discourse, coming to you on the network service of the NTA. My name is Ololade Adinijadeli. My guest today is a man who is representing his people. Well, before he came into the office where he's officially representing his people in his own little way, especially in the area of agriculture, he has made his mark. In the area of the academia, he has also made his mark. But for the purpose of this conversation today, please welcome on Executive Discourse, distinguished Senator Yahaya Abdullahi, OON-CFCON. Yes, it's good to have you with us on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, distinguished Senator, I want to start with your foray in the academia, because I know that you were in the academia before you joined politics. Yes. And one thing that comes to mind is about your practice of agriculture. Why did you decide to go into the field of agriculture, even in the academia?
Thank you very much. Well, when I graduated from the university, in the social sciences. I got a BSc in social sciences in 1974. So I did my NYC in Lagos, in the Institute of Child Health, University of Lagos. At that time, Professor Olikoyo Nsonkuti was the director of that institute, located in Diaraba. He wanted me to go and join the Society Social Science in Medicine, Medical Sociology in Cornell University. I didn't like that because I thought at that time the major challenge, is in the area of agriculture. So I left, from NYC and came back to Amadu Bello. I came back home, to the Sokoto State at that time. At that time, really, there was a coup, the Murtala Mohammed coup, I think. We are just coming, in fact, on the eve of our passing out. That's when the coup happened. So at that time, when I came back to my state, Northwestern State, had become Sokoto State. So I joined the state civil service. But then, at that time, there was, they started a graduate assistantship program, where the attempt of the university system at that time was to recruit local teachers. Because universities in Nigeria at that time were more than 75% peopled by expatriates, particularly people from Europe, America, and to some extent India, and other parts. The university was more or less an international community. So having made one of the best grades, that qualifies one to become a teacher in the university, I was penciled to be there. But I joined my state government instead, and my teachers were very upset that I'm wasting my time,
I can
and
imagine.
my talents in the civil
service.
Why don't you come to university? So I was under a lot of pressure. So I left the state service and came to the university. Now, instead of just going straight to the field in the social sciences as a teacher, and I opted to go to something much more practical, much more useful, So I opted to go into the Institute for Agricultural Research as a researcher, in the Department of Agricultural Economics and Rural Sociology, where what you are going to do now is not just knowledge of the social sciences, but social science applied to some practical problems. And those practical problems are the challenges people face in the agricultural profession, ordinary Nigerian farmers. So I found myself in the Institute for Agricultural Research as a graduate assistant, where I was there both doing teaching and research.
Doing your research. And
we go around the rural areas collecting data on the farmers' challenges, the land problems together with, because in agriculture you have to have multidisciplinary teams. Those multidisciplinary teams contain agronomists, plant scientists, entomologists, soil scientists, agricultural engineers, geneticists. So many, the whole wide field of agriculture.
So it's not just about us.
It's not just about economists. You have economists, you have sociologists, you have all this. So, the teams that do research, apart from the research that is based on crop-based research, you have to come with multidisciplinary teams, because agriculture is a multidisciplinary profession. So the combination of the knowledge and the research and the outcomes, that come out from those collaborations between the different disciplines, that's what makes agriculture what it is. So by the time you go in, at that time in my days, you will have an idea of real knowledge of almost all the disciplines. All aspects, from soil science to plant science to crop protection to agronomy to agricultural engineering to soil testing and almost everything. Extension, agricultural extension and things like that. So I was there, teaching, agricultural development, teaching economics of development, social systems, agrarian systems, and how social outcomes affect, the capability and capacity of farmers and yield levels, together with so many other technical scientists. So we collaborated.
So you went into agriculture, that, the general field of agriculture, understanding that we had challenges even in agriculture at that particular point in time. So many years ago.
Exactly.
Looking at where we are at today, how have we fared in terms of agriculture? Because I remember the Operation Feed the Nation then of the Obasanjo military administration, and then now we're back to it, to almost a similar one, the drive for agriculture by President Muhammadu Buhari.
Yeah. You see, the major challenge that we have, really, it's a challenge of transformation and commitment. Commitment and discipline.
Transformation, commitment,
and
discipline. Okay, can you elaborate?
Program implementation, discipline.
Okay.
What I mean is that once you come in to move something from point A to point B, you must try first of all to understand what is it all about. Where are you going? From point A to point B, what are the challenges that you have to resolve, between point A and point B? Now, along the way, you have to master the necessary courage, capacity, and discipline to reach there.
Okay.
And that means you have to sit down to know all the elements that are involved, both human and material, to make sure that you are there. And then you have to motivate both those who are working toward that goal and those who are supposed to benefit from that goal. The major problem that we have is that we don't have the necessary political commitment, to make sure that there is a seamless drive towards attainment of a certain particular objective. When we were at the Institute for Agricultural Research at that time, I was there between 1976 and 1990, when I left to join my state government again as a federal commissioner. There is nothing in tropical agriculture that we don't know. Everybody, from all over the world, from Korea to China to Britain, Europe, America, come to the Institute for Agricultural Research, maybe, or Institute of Agricultural Research and Training in Ibadan.
Yes.
University Ibadan, Ife, to learn something about tropical agriculture.
And even the IITA.
Even IITA is there. Why? It's not just there for nothing. It was there because Nigeria and Nigerian scientists are renowned internationally. That's why the entire International Institute for Tropical Agriculture,
yes,
is based there. We have ICRISAT, International Crop Research Institute for Semi-Arid Tropics. Has its research station in Zaria and Kano. And Maiduguri were all research stations. In Gala, Lake Chad Research Station, which is the current one. They are all established to establish some foundation for research, extension, and development. Now, our major problem is that we have developed a lot of the prototypes in agricultural engineering. We developed seed varieties in cotton, groundnuts, whatever crop,
oil
palm, all the varieties are there. But the major challenge we had was, how do you get the prototypes that you have developed through research and extension to the farmers? Of course, you talk about extension, but you also talk about fabrication of machinery. At one point in time, there was what we call Holt Ag. John Holt came and established an agricultural machinery producing plant that will convert agricultural engineering, because we have an very strong agricultural engineering department that was supposed to use the prototypes that were developed by and tested by our Department of Mechanical Engineering, which was suited to the technical terrain and conditions of savanna agriculture.
I believe we also have the Nigerian machine tools.
Machine tools, all of them were there. Now, these are supposed to fabricate the machines that have been tested on the ground, to provide the breakthrough, to mechanize agriculture, to make sure that, labor-saving devices, extension. So by the time they come in, they do they replicate the machines. They have the machinery, but what is the outcome? By the moment it comes to the issue of policy, we abandon these manufacturing plants and go back importing same materials. Some of them are not even suited to our own technical conditions. So a lot of the foundation, the thing that you have established, to really get through, do not go through, because those who are making policy prefer to import materials and equipment and machinery that are not even suited to the soil and climatical conditions that we are operating. While the ones that you have funded the research to produce, and you have already established a capacity, to fabricate, those fabricated machines, you don't reach Rome in a day. All sorts of things. At the time, there was a time when we were children, anything made in Japan, was saying to be inferior.
Yes.
But now everybody is looking for Japanese products.
Yes, it's
the Japanese stayed where they are and work on their own materials to the point where their own cars became better than cars that was made in America.
Yes.
America found itself in a real mess because the Japanese, who were said to be producing substandard goods, came to be producing the best.
They overtook them.
Now, these are the kind of development strides that we have always been losing along the way.
So it's a case of us taking one step forward and taking 10 backwards.
10 backwards. So we have not been able to establish our own internal capacity. We have the best facilities for research in tropical agriculture and all the range of tropical crops that you can find in this country. We know the agroclimatical and soil conditions of every single piece of soil in this country. We know what crops can do in one location and what crops can't do. We know and we have capacity to know what are the good soils. For example, the southeast. If you ask me what are the kind of good soils, even if you are doing a road in the southeastern zone of this country, I will tell you the kind of depth that you should reach before you can read the soil filling. Any amount to go to the southeast and just carve out a road, within 2-3 years that road will fail. Because the soil condition is shale.
The red soil.
The red soil is shale, is sandy. By the time one piece collapses, then in fact, any form of development there, if you are not, it will become a gauge. It will become a gauge. It will, eroded soils and things of that. So you have to have, it has special conditions. So whatever you are going to do there, so even the same thing with cropping. We know all these things around all parts of the country. We have all genotypes for almost all the crops, from cocoa to oil palm to groundnut to cotton to all these other things. So we failed, to anticipate development into the future, to create a climate of creativity and movement towards better agricultural products, better people, better sustainability. People simply don't forget. Around 1975, the Nigerian population is just around 70 or so million. But now we are about 200 million. We are not anticipating that this country is going to be 200 million.
We did not plan for the growth.
We did not plan for growth. We just sat down, moving in, not cycles, moving in the edges, if we are moving at all. So the major challenge was that we were never sitting down and looking
into the future,
anticipating the development of our society to the future. We did not
plan for the future, basically.
One of the real fears that I have when I go home and I just see small kids coming out, large number of small kids. The real challenge is that my fear is that, look, what plan do we have for that? We don't have
population explosion.
Yes, you can see what is happening in our states. What plan do we have? You don't develop societies at the federal level. Everybody expects the federal government. Societies are developed at the local level, at the state level, at the local government level. And that's where governance is extremely weak.
Now, when we talk about governance being extremely weak, you have, in your own little space in agriculture, you have also been a part of the government. You've served as a commissioner for agriculture, even coming from the academia. I'm, now wondering, for you as an individual and in your own little space, from your own state, what has your own contributions? What are those remarkable contributions that you have helped to make in the area of agricultural sustainability?
You see, when I left the university system around 1990-91 and became Commissioner of Agriculture at my state, things were not this bad. Okay. At least one thing that even before we came to this,
yes,
I was chairman of Kaduna State Land Investigation Commission.
Okay.
Because we thought that the challenge of development is not just the question of the technical capacity that you have developed, but also the political will, the political organization to bring about change.
Okay.
So 1978, when the military opened the thing to politics, some of us rushed and we joined the People's Redemption Party. Under late Aminu Kano, myself, late Bala Usman, and several others. And we were able to win Kaduna and Kano states. Kaduna State, I became the chairman, even though it was not my state. I came from Sokoto State at that time. I became the chairman of Kaduna State Land Investigation Commission, because we saw that, look, the entire foundation on which agriculture is built is land. What are the relationship between people and land? Because if you have a system whereby those who farm are denied the farm and those who don't own the farms, then productivity is going to be easy. So our own aim was to go and change the land tenure system in Kaduna State in such a way that those who do the farming have access to land, which is unfettered, so that they can make investment in those farms.
Yes.
That was the basic thing. So we wanted to make land holding much more equitable. But in addition to that, because of our knowledge of agriculture, we looked at the agricultural development project system. Because at that time there were enclave projects where you have to supply people with inputs, farm roads, extension, and all these other things. And it was highly successful. So we were the first state in Kaduna State to say that instead of the enclave system, make it statewide.
Okay.
So we made it statewide. As a result of that, the World Bank even tried to deny Kaduna State funding. But we were able to fund the statewide agricultural development project with the state funds.
Yes.
We were able to fund it. And other states, from the Kaduna State experience, other states expanded their ADPs.
Okay.
At that time, states were working. There was linkage between research and extension. You know, when you look at those years, a lot of difference, you know, was made in the nature of agricultural output. You know, things are coming in, and the projects were going on, rural roads were being constructed, inputs were going to farmers, and you know, there was general...
And you expanded on this.
We expanded on this foundation.
When you became the commissioner for agriculture.
We expanded on this foundation in Sokoto. In fact, in Sokoto, we expanded it to zonal levels.
Okay.
You know, we have the northern zone, the western zone, the eastern zone, you know, of the project. Each one of them equipped with agricultural machinery, extension services, and input, fertilizer.
And you recorded successes?
We recorded a lot of successes, because even in spite of the fact that Sokoto State was one of the semi-arid states, you know, we had no challenge of either farming or drought. In fact, we were even strong in forestry, you know, in the northern part of the state around Tangaza area.
Yes.
And we are trying to convert sand dunes, you know, into agricultural areas where they are growing onions and all this. Sand dunes, we were vegetating it and all this. There was a lot of work, you know, that we were doing. But the problem we have is sustainability. You know, who will sustain it? The farmers, the Nigerian farmers are very hardworking and efficient. So things will start going on. And then after a while, you know, some leaders will come. Instead of building on what others have done, on the foundation that other people have given, they will say, okay, they will draw a line and start their own. You know, it even became a principle that when you come to governance, draw your own line and then start your own.
Forget sustainability.
Exactly. And those kind of challenges, you know, that's what drove a lot of us into politics, really. Because we thought that, you know, with the way things are going, you know, after I finished as a commissioner, I still thought going back to the university, you know, was not an option. Because going back, the only thing that I will do there is to teach, you know, and maybe do research. Who is going to implement it? Who is going to do it? Why do you have the political will and all the other necessary things? Because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, whatever development we are talking about is the political will of leaders to make the difference.
For implementation.
So the issue is to not to just give the knowledge, but also to come in and make contribution at the level of politics, so that you can. That's where the jinx is.
Okay.
The leadership recruitment. Who are the people who people bring into leadership positions? That is the major challenge that every society has. If a society cannot bring forth leaders, you know, who have a vision of a better society, we can never get it right.
Now, I'm still on agriculture because it's important, I mean, that we eat.
Yes, exactly. You have to eat before anything.
Exactly, before anything we must eat. And I'm looking at the strides that have been taken by the Buhari administration so far. How sustainable are these achievements that have been made?
Well,
looking at, you know, the parameters that we discussed earlier, like the population explosion, the acquisition and ownership of land, and of course the willingness of our farmers.
You see, the problem that we are having is that agriculture is a local issue.
Okay.
You know, when you look at the history of agriculture alone in this country, in fact, there was not even a minister of agriculture in the federal level for a very long time. It was a federal department of agriculture, because it was the regional government, you know, who have control over agriculture.
Yes.
It is because of, after the military came in, the failure of regional leaders, particularly after state creation, you know, to really take on and build on the agricultural foundation that were laid on by the First Republic, by the regions, that brought strength to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, and the initiatives now are coming from the federal level. But whatever you do the federal level, in fact, the major weakness of any federal-led agriculture development program, you know, if it's not a policy issue, if you have a federal-led federal agriculture development program, it won't work. Okay. Unless there is a very, very strong state, local component at the state level. Okay. Federal government, in fact, federal government does not have control over land. Yeah. It's the states that control the land.
The land.
You know, therefore, whatever program you start, when I left the state government, I joined National Agricultural Land Development Authority, you know, where we started to have, you know, land in every state of the federation to grow some specific crops so that we can have
You can retain some species
and also have what you call comparative advantage. Which zone of the country? We zone the country into 3 crop zones, into cereal zones. We do tree cropping and so many other kind of things. We started all this, and later on, Obasanjo government came and threw it out. But the major weakness that we have is at the state level. Agriculture involves 3 basic things: land, people, technology.
Okay.
That's agriculture. But then it's driven by policy, and a policy direction, and consistency, commitment, and implementation discipline. When these things are not there, you will never get there. There must be commitment from the state to key into that.
The policies at the federal level.
That's there. The federal government does not have land. So all it has is to create an enabling environment and a direction, and then get the state to key in. Now, where the challenge is? The challenge is that there is no political cohesion at the policy implementation level between the states and the federal government. And a lot of it has to do with lack of discipline.
Okay.
A state governor will come and think that he is autonomous, and so at the state he does what he wants. In fact, some of them, if you even allow them, they will insist that they even control the entire security and everything of the state. One of the major things, the result that we have seen, is the failure of the local government system.
Yes.
Because the governors have refused, to allow local government system to work. We have recently done a constitutional amendment that gave local government access to their own resources, even resources that come from the federal level. The state governors went and used their state assemblies, preventing the implementation of those constitutional changes that will make local governance better and stronger. Now, without a strong local government, without everybody doing what he wants, with everybody doing what he wants, how are you going to be able to coordinate the states? If, say, for example, you have states where the leaders themselves are accountable to the people of the states. You even have the political parties that you have in this country today, and I'm a practitioner. I know that. The political parties, they control, at the center, they don't control their branches. They have no control over the branches because they say that since the president controls the party at the center, they control also the party in their states. And then when they come, they will say that, no, the president, maybe you can bring the chairman, but it's some of us that will bring the members of the working committee. So there is complete political disarray in the way things are going on. And the purpose of some of us being here, is to say the truth, to tell them that what you are doing, this disarray that you are bringing into governance, this failure that you will bring into governance is the major root cause of lack of discipline and lack of perception and staying the course of a development agenda in this country.
In Nigeria.
So, irrespective of who is president in this country, once you don't have a disciplined state and local government system,
it cannot work. No policy can work. And that brings me to, of course, your current position as a senator. You came in 2015 under the APC. You came in 2019 under the APC, and which is, of course, the ruling party today, even though you have defected. We'll talk about that much later. Now, you talked about local government administration, local government autonomy, and we all know what is happening. You even made reference to the bill that was just passed, which is not working thanks to the governors. Now, how do we begin to make local government administration work in Nigeria? Because we all know that, yes, nothing much can be achieved at the center unless the grassroots works.
Exactly.
How do we get local government administration to function properly?
Good governance.
How do we get the good governance?
By involving local people in the management of their own affairs. Now, for example, take any state. The governor brings or selects members of the state house or assembly. Anything he wants, he gets. They also bring who the chairman of the local governments are. the level of democracy at the local level to allow people to elect people they think can run government is not there. Various constituencies, and interest groups in the local level virtually have no say as organized groups in the management of state affairs. Religious leaders, traditional rulers, businessmen, and small-scale operators. Even as organized groups, they have not been recognized, because the administration of local government at the local government level is dictatorial and unaccountable. It's accountable only to the governor. And the governor, will not allow, democracy to prevail, because if it does, a lot of them will be out of office. Or they will not get the resources that they think are their birthright, or control what is happening in every local government.
Yes, but we know all of this. So how do we begin to get this inclusiveness? How do we begin, how do we actually achieve true democracy?
You see, what we say is the leadership selection. The major problem we have is leadership selection. What do I mean by leadership selection? That's why the Senate last time, when you saw that I was leader at that time, we insisted in the Senate, even in the House, the whole thing actually came from the House, and later on we saw the wisdom of the House and said that, look, the most important thing is to make political parties democratic.
Okay.
And why? How can you make them democratic? You can make them democratic by ensuring that members of a political party are the ones who select candidates for election at all levels. And make the members of that political party to elect directly those people who they want to rule them, or to represent them to contest for election. The governors insisted no. The governors in our own party at that time, APC, said no. They organized themselves into a cartel and fought us, to run with the president. They were able to convince the president to see their way. And that's why you had a very chaotic primary election across the board, all over this country. Because virtually what the governors did is that they took over the control of the party at the local level, and insisted on having their own cronies there. In some places, there are no even delegate elections, even when they say they wanted delegates. Because what we had wanted was that if you are a card-carrying member of a political party,
yes,
you should be in a position to select candidates that you want to put up for election. If there is no interference by the state governors at that level, and allow members who have agreed to join a political party to elect those people they want to stand for election, there will have been a lot of difference. Because at that level, people will elect people who they think can bring soccer and manage the affairs properly. In fact, what we are having now across all the parties, not just one, across all the parties, is that it's a dictatorship of a cartel of governors. That's what you have. It's a cartel of governors, some of them not even properly elected, who are now controlling the Nigerian democracy by jugular. Go and tell anybody, that's what I say. It's a cartel of governors that are holding Nigerian democracy to ransom. Because I'm saying this with full sense of responsibility. If you don't allow popular choice to prevail in a democracy, you are endangering the future of that democracy. And you are putting people to the brink, to the point of hopelessness. Now, what is the point in Nigeria today of being a member of a political party when you don't have any right to organize anything? Being a member of a political party has no meaning, because you cannot elect anybody. You cannot elect delegates. You cannot do anything. There is no level of participation where you, as a member of a political party, can do, because you have no role to play within the political system.
Distinguished Senator, like I said earlier, you've been a part of this present, dispensation since 2015. and you're here you are again, yet we're having this problem. And the average Nigerian, I'm just speaking as an average Nigerian, we see you, the politicians, as being responsible for our lot, for our misfortunes in this country. So having been there for this length of time, and you haven't been able to do much about it, isn't this a case of the hydra-headed monster that you people have created?
You see, yes. You see, I agree with you. And I agree with the perception of ordinary Nigerians about the failure of politics in this country. But one thing, you know, that is accelerating is that at least during our time, some movements have been made. Efforts have been made in that direction. And people have seen how far we have gone. When we came in, you know, we said that, look, we are not going to sit down and fight with the executive arm of government, because if we do so, ordinary Nigerians will suffer. Okay. You know, we will still get our allowances, we will get everything that we want, but policy implementation will suffer. We reversed the timetable, the budgeting period, and brought it January to December. As a result of that, no institution will tell you that capital budgets are not implemented almost 100%. I don't say they don't steal. No, they may do. You know, but at least the money for capital is there. Yes. For every single institution in this country, they have their money for capital. If they misuse it or they steal it, that's a different matter. We sat down at that time, worked with the Ministry of Finance, you know, through all sorts of challenges, pandemics, floods, everything, you know, to try at least to get the nation somehow together. On the political level, we did so many things, like trying to pass the Electoral Act. We suffered a lot of reverses. Yes, very serious one. You know, but we suffered a lot of reverses because what we wanted at the National Assembly, you know, the governors were able to congregate and get the president to block us. Assent to their own wishes. To their own version, you know, of the bill. We have to come and do certain things, but at the end of the day, the governors got their way. I don't know why the president agreed with them, but that's what the thing, you know, how the thing ended up. You know, so there are some minor victories, you know, like saying that ministers should not participate in congresses or parties unless they resign. Yes. That one, they even went to court and we were lucky. Yes. You know, the Supreme Court upheld our own position. You know, but that's the only victory we had. The greatest victory we would have had was the direct election. Yes. You know, and a lot of Nigerian NGOs and everything, which this direct election of candidates, you know, for political parties. If we have that, you know, no political parties will start respecting the sanctity of their members. And people will come. But where lies the hope of the average Nigerian with all of this? The hope is that we have tried. That you know, certain kinds of efforts have been made. We hope that in the future, those who are going to come after us, you know, will now see the mistakes that we have made, and even the governor, who knows who the governors will be. Yes. You know, next time, who knows who the president will be? The president may see it from our own side and say that yes, all along these people have been saying the truth. Let's do it differently. You know, but the most difficult thing to do is politics. Yet you're in it. Yes. No, but, you know, if you don't, if you are not there, you know, where else can you go to fight for change? You know, that's the only avenue that you can go to fight for a change in the way things are done. And I know that, yes, you're still in politics and you were the Senate Majority Leader for so long before you resigned that and, you know, left that seat. As the Senate Majority Leader, what personal achievements did you record? Personal. Well, personal achievement. Yes. Personal achievement as the Majority Leader is keeping the Senate together. But wasn't it a case of a rubber stamp Senate? No. A lot of people, you know, didn't know what is happening or what happened. Okay. A lot of the issues, there are so many issues that came before the Senate from the executive arm of government. Instead of coming out to say, they have done this is where, you know, we don't agree, we will sit down quietly. Okay. You know, we keep the letters. Then we go through, we have access to the executive arm of government. We reach out, even up to the president, and tell him that, look, sir, this particular thing that you are bringing cannot go through the Senate. Sometimes even the senators do not know this because it's a communication that is coming from the president. So we'll tell him that we in the Senate cannot pass this thing, sir. So we think this kind of thing, this kind of adjustment, this kind of amendment need to be done before we can even bring it to the floor. So a lot of issues of controversy, we try to avoid issues of controversy without damaging, the integrity and the image of the executive government. We don't want to be dancing naked, on the...
you don't want to wash your dirty linen in the public.
We don't want to be dancing naked with the executive arm of government just because we want to please certain people about certain perceptions that are there. That's not the issue. That's not how to do politics. Politics is about negotiating and enlightening and advancing positions, for all of us to learn from and to see. There are so many landmark legislations that we did in this ninth Senate that no National Assembly in this country has ever done. Like onshore, offshore product sharing contract. That had defied all the Senates in this country. Like Petroleum Industry Act. It was there since when I was director in the Federal Civil Service, before I even went into politics. We are the ones who were able to get it through. This Electoral Act. To even get it out.
Even though the belief of Nigerians is that you're giving us with one hand and taking back with the other.
No, this Electoral Act, I think it's the best act that had come out of the legislative process. It may be, in fact, when we passed it, we said that, look, all of us should now watch and see how is it being implemented, so that along the way we can see up to the election what are the weaknesses of that act. One of the major things in this act is that, there is no way, it is extremely, extremely difficult to rig elections. Extremely difficult. Because why? Because technology has been brought. That technology is even way above the card reader that were used in 2015. And election results, we make sure that election results, once they are announced, the polling booth, are inviolable. Collation centers where the result sheets are changed will disappear. Immediately you vote in your polling booth, and everybody.
The results are announced at the polling booth.
Announced, and then it electronically
transferred.
To a server with National Electoral Commission, and they can announce the result. You can see the results coming out. So for anybody to go and steal ballot boxes and all these other things is gone. So there are a lot of things that have been done in that Electoral Act, which
we will see unfolding
when we come.
And now let's discuss one topical issue. And just as I said, up until I think June, you were the Senate majority leader.
Yes.
But you defected from the political party that brought you into the Senate, being the APC, and you defected to the PDP, thereby relinquishing your seat as a Senate majority leader. What's this all about?
Well, the major issue is that, like I said, when I addressed my letter to the Senate President, and which he announced on the floor of the Senate, that all politics is local. Now, the entire thing has to do with the way in which the politics and the governance in my state are conducted by the governor and his clique. Finally, morally, I found it very difficult for me, given my antecedents and my thing. I'm not just a politician in the ordinary thing, looking for office. I have gone through a lot of my life. As a university teacher, as an administrator, retired as a federal permanent secretary. There are certain things that brought me into politics, and which is to make life better and trying to get, good people to come into the process. Of course, there are so many characters. Nigeria is a place where, anybody can be a politician. You can come in and out, you can go in and out. There are certain countries where you cannot just wake up tomorrow and be a politician.
Exactly.
Like China, for example, You can join the Communist Party, but you can't be. You have to go and
Yes,
grow up and
from
be
the lower rung, yes.
and right up. But in Nigeria, it's not the same. So I found that there are certain things that morally, I cannot stand. One thing that I cannot stand is injustice and manipulation. You come in and deny people rights. Some people call it politics. I am not in that kind of school of politics.
Okay.
Where you say that, injustice, if you have power, you can use that power to commit injustice against certain groups of people because you have a perception that they are not your supporters. I believe, my own belief is that even your enemy, if he has his rights, give it to him. Okay. Because those rights belong to him. They are inalienable to him. Let him use those rights, even if he's going to vote you out. But come out and tell the truth. Not politics of manipulation, politics of gerrymandering, and then you do, and at the end of the day, the people that you are going to, you are not going to get the best out of society. You get only those, whose loyalty are beholden to you. And those whose loyalty you think are beholden to you are not people who are even telling you the truth. So efforts by many state governors to say that they are in control of this, they are in power, they can do what they want, I don't think that is the way to grow democracy. So for me to be part and parcel of a process that I don't believe in, that I can't trust, I think I will do myself a lot of injury, if I remain in that process. So I chose to just defect.
Okay, so you were aggrieved and you decided to defect.
To defect.
And, well, your grievance, isn't it as a result of not getting the gubernatorial ticket of the state?
Well, if the process, that brings out gubernatorial tickets are allowed to run their course, for delegates to be elected by the ordinary members of the party, for all the things to be done, there is no way any one of them can defeat you. But the governor just gerrymandered a whole process, that brought out his clique. Okay. I cannot work under that process. So after they did it, and I saw how they did it, I thought that other people say, I'll go to court because the court, the way it is done, there was no election. Those who they didn't even elect delegates. They just brought people from there was no election, no nothing. He just collected people from everywhere and then brought them, put them in line, and then they came, they put ballots, they signed for them, they signed for them. The delegates don't even vote. So I said, well, go to court. I said, no. This is politics. I won't go to court. I will challenge them, politically. That's why I left that party, joined another party, and I'm still fighting.
Yes, and you're still fighting. And even the party that you have joined
has its own problems.
Yes, but Nigerians are of the opinion that, they are birds of the same feather. Yes. Fish in the same kettle.
The same
so how do we want to, how do you hope to get your justice, if that is it?
Well, we still fight. You cannot just give up. You can't surrender. Who knows?
No retreat.
But I am still alive. I am there, I'm here. Even in the PDP, I'm still fighting. So, I'm still fighting even there.
The fight continues.
The fight continues. We have to see that, and for as long as I'm alive, I don't have to contest election, to be relevant politically. But I know that in my own community, I'm very, very relevant. Very, very relevant. There is nobody who can go there in my community politically and ignore me.
And so moving forward now, the 2023 elections are going to be here soon.
Yeah.
What's the next step for you?
No, for me, I have secured not partly secured the nomination, of the PDP to contest my seat. Although APC gave me, I rejected it because I don't want to work with those people who are there. I can't work with them.
That bad?
Yes. I can't just sit down on the same platform with the characters who are now holding forth in that state. I can't, morally.
So you're contesting the same
the
seat
same seat.
under the
Although they
PDP.
connived with some people to take me to court, but we are still in court.
There's so much happening, and it looks like, politics is always ever evolving.
Yes, always ever evolving. But the issue is that, the worst thing that you do is to give up.
Okay.
You don't give up the fight, even if you are not contesting. You come out and become a voice for justice and a voice for reason and a voice, for fairness and fair play.
Distinguished Senator, I know that it's not just about work. Yes, you're a very busy person, and even while we're trying to conduct this interview, there's so much happening, all around. But I know that it's not just all work and no play. Now, when you're not playing politics, when I say playing politics, I mean, yes, really attending to political matters. What do you do in your leisure hour?
Reading.
Yeah, an academician, and somebody from the academia.
That's all I do. You can do my bag, all full of books. You will go to my house, my bed, my chair, and all that. There are so many. In fact, I am way back when I go outside the country on very few occasions. I don't like traveling. But when I do, half of my baggage is books.
Is books.
And I order books all over the place. In fact, I'm getting inundated by them because I don't have that much time. But I'll create time to. You
should create time.
That's my.
Your title, the Malamawan Cubs.
Yes.
Can you tell us about it? What exactly does it mean?
Well, Malamawa means learned person. Teacher.
Oh, still about the academia.
Yes, teacher, because I come from a family of scholars. My father was chief scholar, who taught so many Islamic scholars, ranging from here to Niger, Burkina Faso, Senegal, and they all trooped to his house to learn. So I come out of that family. So when I came of the emir, thought that the best title he could give me is to give me the person is head scholar of the emirate.
Okay.
Yes, so
the head scholar of the emirate.
Yes,
basically,
emirate.
Just lending credence to what you have achieved in life.
Exactly.
I know that in your time at the Senate, you have succeeded in, putting quite some bills forward and getting them passed. Yes. Some still, yet to be passed. Of all the bills that you have put forward in the Senate, which one, has been passed, which one holds really dear to you? Which one would you regard as your greatest achievement?
Well, the greatest achievement that I think we have done is really to unite the Senate itself and pass the most consequential bills that affect the economy and the politics of this country. The Petroleum Industry Act, the Onshore-Offshore Bill, which is an act, the Electoral Act. These are bills that defied all Senate. They were
all political affiliation.
Yes, all political gerrymandering, but we were able to get the Senate together, to agree, and pass these bills without any form of dissension. And that one means, trust. That there is some measure of trust that the Senate has in my capacity as the leader of the Senate. But we are yet to get where we want to, because we thought that some of the effort that we made to amend the Constitution, to rescue the local government, the local government system, up to now is hanging in the air, because there are some people within the political firmament that do not want this kind of thing to happen. But eventually, this thing has to happen. So my own message to Nigerians is to interrogate the moral and spiritual and attitudinal baggage of leaders before surrendering their own rights to them.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very
distinguished
much.
Senator. It's been a pleasure spending time with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we must investigate our leaders. We must investigate those people who are coming up to take elective positions before we vote them into office, knowing that our future, to an extent, lies in their hands. That's what I'm taking away from the conversation today with the distinguished senator representing Kebbi North Senatorial District of Kebbi State in Nigeria, talking about the distinguished senator, Yahaya Abdullahi, OON, CON. Of course, the former Senate Majority Leader, but who has now moved to an opposing party. I do hope you've learned something from this conversation. If indeed you have, let's do this again, same time next week on the network service of the NTA. I am Ololade Adeniji Adelin. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.